Hey guys, this is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and today I've got a small comic book haul for you. Now, this is all books that I picked up at a little comic book show down in Annandale, Virginia, and this was at a local fire department. This is the same show that they actually do in Frederick, Maryland. I've been to that show several times, and I couldn't go to the last one that they put on because I actually had COVID at the time. So I missed that show over in Frederick, Maryland, but they had another show. Now it's a little bit smaller, and it's also a card show as well, sports cards and the like as well. So you didn't have as many comic book dealers, but you did have some good dealers there. And I went down to check it out, and it turned out to be a pretty decent little show. There were some gems in there, and man, I tell you, they had one dealer who had this beautiful Submariner number 8 with the thing, and if I didn't already have it in the collection and being worked on, and it was a really good copy, I'm getting ready to send it to CGC. I might have been tempted, but I was also not in the mood to spend a lot of money either, and I think he had a pretty hefty price tag on that, and I just wasn't prepared to drop that kind of coin at that show unless I found, I don't know, on that, it was just one book. But yeah, it's funny, I don't have problems spending money if I find multiple things, but in one book, it's hard to pull the trigger with a big purchase like that. There's guys with that do this all the time, and it's like I don't have an infinite amount of money to spend on these things. I work on I buy good value books. Even if I put money into them, I turn them around and sell a lot of them after I get them graded and try to help pay for that. I mean, that's how this cycle goes. But I'm drifting again, guys. You know how I like to talk. So I went to the show. I wanted to see what they had, and before I get into the books, I just want to give a shout out because you actually had two of the bigger YouTube guys in our community there. One that I've been talking to since Baltimore Comic Con last year when I met him there was Longbox Love Affair, and it's always good to see him. I always kind of keep an eye on and see what he picks up at shows. He's got just from the books I see from his videos, just a wonderful collection. I think he was picking up a copy of Spider-Man 149. I don't remember what else he got. After a little while, we looking in different boxes, and when I left, I didn't see him. But I know he always picks up some good things, so it was always good to see him. And then there was Cool Stuff Collectibles was there as well, and both of those guys have much bigger channels than I do, and just they have great content on our channels, very insightful. I've tried to learn how to do this channel by picking up some of the things by watching those guys. Those guys are leading the way in this Baltimore, Washington area. And, I'm following suit, trying to do my thing. And what was kind of cool at the show was actually getting recognized by some of the dealers that I haven't met before. And so that shows me that people are actually watching the video a little bit. And, I hope you guys get something out of these videos. I do this because I like sharing what I do. And it's part of who I am and what I do. And, I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy talking about comics and things like that. And, I hope you guys get stuff out of this, learn things from the video, and then when I get feedback from you guys, it's helpful as well. So it was great seeing people. It was great to be seen, I suppose. It was great seeing some real big YouTube guys here and see what they're picking up and everything. And anyway, let me talk about the books that I picked up. Other than that Submariner, I was having trouble. There was no focus going into the show. What was I looking for? I was just going to look and see what I can find. But I'm not a guy that really likes to dig through the bins as much as I do looking at the walls. I'll look at the walls first. That's usually how I approach a show. I'll go in there, I'll look at the walls, and I have this list of comics that I love working on, and I know the values of it because I've been working on these things for months and months, well, the last year. And so I kind of keep my eye out on those kind of keys and things that I can instantly tell you that's a pretty good price depending on the grade. But eventually, I started digging through the boxes because I wasn't finding anything on the walls that I was wanting. I think at the time, what I'm starting to look for right now is I'm trying to find higher grade John Byrne X-Men. I'm in the market for an X-Men 109. I don't want to overpay for it, though. I have in mind what I want to pay, but I don't want to overpay for a lesser graded copy. If that makes any sense. You know, I'm looking for a little bit of a deal. I want a high grade copy, but I don't want to overpay for it. Which we all don't want to overpay for it. So I'm not unique. But I'm looking for some of those X-Men John Byrne books, and I wasn't finding those exactly. And you know, after talking with some of the dealers and everything, I honestly was about this close to walking out and not having anything. And I'm going, that's a little bit of a waste of a day. Um, yeah, come on, you can always find something. Well, I finally was digging through the boxes, and I stopped at one dealer, and he had a bin of basically $5 books, and I ended up picking up a copy of World War Hulk #1, and this is a book that I literally pulled out of my collection, worked on it, sent it to CGC, got a 9.8, ended up selling it. Just like every book I get, I wish I kept it, right? But I know what the value is on a CGC 9.8 on this, and for $5, I'm going to take another shot at it, I guess. But as I said, going around to all the other dealers, there were some good books, there were some good deals and everything, but I guess after I couldn't find the X-Men books I was looking for, the steam was out, and I just kind of was pulling back a little bit. But there was a dealer there that I actually love working with because his books are fantastic. He gives me good deals, and I've talked about him in one of my previous videos. This is Jim Montgomery from Battlefield Comics, and he had tons of boxes out and everything, and ended up going through a couple of his boxes, and I found some really good books. They weren't out in the regular boxes alphabetically, and he had a ton of books. But I ended up going through this other box, and so I ended up buying the rest of my books from him, and they're because they're high grade, and I know what these books can go for if you can get these 9.6s and 9.8s out of them. Well, actually, I take it back. I got 4 books from him. Then I picked up one other from one dealer. I kept my eye on the whole show. I will go over that. But the 4 books I picked up from Jim are Fantastic Four number 243. This is part of that Galactus storyline that introduces Frankie Ray as Nova in the next issue. And that's the money book. But this is if you can get a 9.8 on something like this, trust me, I have gotten 9.8s on books I've worked on for my collection on this, and it can go for over $300 as a 9.8. That's great. So taking a shot on that. He had a couple of really, really nice copies of Fantastic Four 273. Now, the wind has come out of these a little bit as well, but there's still some value in it, especially if I can get that 9.8. I haven't been able to get that on the couple submissions I've done. I think I'm literally 9.2, maybe a 9.4. Disappointed on both of them, but I knew they had defects, so I guess I shouldn't be too disappointed. But still looking to get a 9.8 on one of those. And then those were the expensive ones, and then slightly expensive. And then I picked up another copy of Young Avengers #3, part of that Kang storyline. Love this series. I didn't really care for it that much back then. I guess I just didn't pay attention to it as much, but just beautiful artwork, absolutely stunning artwork. And that was only, and you may have seen some prices on these, and in the end, Jim gave me a fantastic deal for the package lot, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting those into the shop. He and I always talk about pressing and what we can do with things in the shop, and for one of my last videos where I talked about the book, he gave me a comic to press. He just gave it to me. He says, it's for you as a present, act of kindness, and I've actually got it through the first press. It's now sitting there waiting to sit there for a little bit to see if any defects come back into it. I'll look at it again and see if it needs another press, but it's something I'll send in to CGC. We'll do a video on that someday too, and maybe we'll talk to Jim about it and get his input on things as well. I don't know. We'll play it by ear here. But anyway, these are the ones I picked up from Jim. And then the very last book I picked up to show, I think it's a steal. It was $45. It is Captain Marvel number 33, the last Captain Marvel Thanos issue and hit that storyline from Jim Starlin. And that's a pretty big book right here. And, you know, most places I go, I see price tags going up from 75 on the cheap to 125, 150 if they're really high grade. And I took a look at this book, and I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm going, this is really nice. And, you know, I didn't haggle on this one. A lot of times my thing is, if I buy one book from a dealer, I usually don't haggle on it. But I think he actually gave it to me, instead of 45, I think he ended up giving it to me for 40. So even that, it didn't, I think it's a great deal. This is a book right now, I think it's a grading candidate. I think it's going to end up in that 8.5 to 9.4 range at the moment. We'll see what it is when I get it into the shop. But excited about this book. I'm excited about the books from Jim at Battlefield Comics. As I said, I didn't pick up a lot at the show. I don't think I spent more than, I want to say, what did I spend? I spent about $120 at the show. I don't even think it was that. So it wasn't that much, but I think I got some nice little keys, minor keys here, and we'll get them in the shop. We'll work on them, and we'll get them out to CGC eventually, and we'll see how we did on them. So, guys, that's it. Short video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you for the next one. Take care.